Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We will begin chapter 9 from Canto 7 today. From the Brilliant as the Sun, a retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad pacifies Nrsimhadev. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatam nandesha guntayanam pramanamata Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Chapter 9, Prahlad pacifies Nrsimhadev. We have seen so far in this canto that how Nrsimhadev appeared to keep the word of his devotee Prahlad Maharaj, and now Ugra Nrsimhadev, Lord in his Ugra Nrsimhadev form, had annihilated Hiranyakashipu in the last chapter, and now everyone in the assembly, all the demigods, even Lakshmiji, even Brahmaji, everybody tried to pacify Nrsimhadev, but Nrsimhadev wouldn't pacify. Now we'll see how the story unfolds in this chapter 9. Prahlad pacifies Nrsimhadev. Despite the celestials' attempt to appease him, Nrsimhadev seemed unmoved. He roared yet again, and the gods and sages coaxed each other to try once more to placate him, but none of them dared approach him. It seemed his anger might consume the universe. Brahma noticed Lakshmi standing to one side, gazing at Nrsimhadev in wonder. Approaching her with folded hands, he said, "O goddess, you are the Lord's beloved consort. Please kindly calm him." Overhearing him, all the other celestials also pleaded with her, "Dear mother, save us from your husband's wrath. Please soothe him." The goddess shook her head. "Even I have never seen him looking so fierce. He is wonderful and magnificent, but I am too afraid to approach him." Seeing Prahlad standing nearby, Brahma bent over and whispered in his ear, "The Lord is angry with your father because of you. Please pacify him, for he has appeared especially for your sake." Prahlad weaved his way through the crowd of celestials and offered prostrated obeisance at Nrsimhadev's feet. The Lord was at once pacified, placing his hand on Prahlad's head. He said, "Be fearless, for I will always protect you, my dear devotee." By the touch of Nrsimhadev's hand, Prahlad, who was already freed of material contamination, developed full realization of the Paramatma. Bliss overcame him, tears streamed from his eyes. And his bodily hair stood on end. Trembling with divine love, his mind and eyes fixed on Nrsimhadev, he prayed in a faltering voice, "Although they are all highly qualified, none of the gods, headed by the Lord Brahma, along with the celestial sages, have been able to glorify you satisfactorily. Then, what then of me? I am unqualified indeed, born to a family of atheists. I am completely unfit to address you." Nrsimhadev reassuringly stroked his head. Prahlad looked at him with tear-filled eyes. "My lord, I realize now that no material qualification can satisfy you, not wealth, aristocracy, beauty, austerity, education, sensory prowess, splendor, influence, strength, diligence, intelligence, or mystic powers. You are only pleased by one's devotion to you. The proof is that you were pleased with the elephant Gajendra, who had no material qualification." Nrsimhadev nodded to show his approval. "You have understood me very well. Do you wish to say anything else?" "What more can I say? Just this. A highly qualified Brahmin who has no devotion for you is lower than a person born in a dog-eater family who has dedicated everything to you." "How so?" "Such a low-born devotee can purify his entire family, but a Brahmin with no devotion cannot even purify himself." Nrsimhadev leaned down and gently lifted Prahlad. Placing him on his knee, he said, "I must be very self-centered, since I am only interested in people who offer me everything." "Oh no, not at all," said Prahlad. "You need nothing from anyone because you are completely self-satisfied." So Prahlad Maharaj is speaking like a self-realized soul here. My Lord, you do not accept everyone's offerings, just those of devotees who regularly hear about and glorify you. Do you not think I am even over demanding, possibly even arrogant? Said Nrsingadev. Certainly not, said Prahlad. You want us to hear about and glorify you and offer you everything for our benefit, not yours. How does it benefit you to glorify me? Yes, if I want to see myself looking nice in the mirror, I cannot decorate the mirror image. Rather, I decorate my face, then my image will also look good. Similarly, since you are the origin of us all, our lives become glorious when we glorify you. Nrsingadev laughed and rubbed Prahlad's head affectionately. Prahlad gazed up lovingly at Nrsingadev. I am no longer confused. It does not matter that I am born into a demoniac family. These external things do not concern you. Anyone suffering the torment of repeated birth and death in the material world can hear about, glorify, and pray to you to the best of their ability as far as their intelligence allows. Thus they can be delivered from material existence. Nrsingadev rode, tossing his mane back and forth, mistaking his mood. The gods gasped in fear and pressed backwards, trampling on each other's feet. Prahlad, however, realized he was merely expressing his happiness. So as not to embarrass the gods, Prahlad said, My lord, all the devas headed by Lord Brahma are your servants, fixed in the mode of goodness. They are not like us, demons who are always afraid for your pleasure pastime. You incarnate in this fierce form to protect the universe, especially your devotees. Now you can give up your anger, for my father is dead and everyone is pleased for all time to come. When your devotees are in danger, they will remember you in this auspicious form. Nrsingadev teased Prahlad, How is it you all feel happy seeing another's suffering? Prahlad said, My lord, even saintly people feel happy when a scorpion or venomous snake is killed. Nrsingadev threw back his head and roared to laughter, exposing his fangs and darting tongue. The gods turned away, trembling with fear. Prahlad, however, stared at the Lord with undisguised love. Nrsingadev said, Prahlad, do I not frighten you? Prahlad shook his head. O ever victorious Lord, I am not afraid of you, neither of your fierce appearance, sharp teeth, tumultuous roaring, nor your claws with which you tear apart your enemies. The gods overheard this and felt ashamed of their fear. Nrsingadev stroked Prahlad's head. Do you not fear anything? Prahlad said. O most powerful, unconquerable Lord, I am afraid of atheistic association and the miseries of repeated birth and death. You have been born into an atheistic family, Prahlad. Do you blame me for that? Oh no, my lord. You are always very kind to the fallen souls. I took birth in this evil family because of my previous dark deeds. I have learnt my lesson, and I now simply long to return home, back to Godhead, to your eternal shelter. My dear Prahlad, now your father is dead, you can inherit all his property which encompasses this entire universe. O Lord, I have taken birth and died so many times, and I have enjoyed and suffered each time. Sometimes I have been united with loved ones and rejoiced, but I have wept when one of us died. Other times I have lamented when facing an enemy and rejoiced if they died. Everyone in the material universe, the powerful and the weak, must lament sometimes. There are many methods for attaining liberation from material existence, but they mostly entail much suffering. Only your service ends our misery. Kindly therefore instruct me how to serve you, for that is all I desire. That's all right, Prahlad, said Nrsingadev. You can certainly serve me, but you do not think you should find a more practical solution for material suffering? Prahlad looked shocked. My lord, there is no easier way to overcome life's miseries than to hear about you from those who love you and discuss your glories with other sincere devotees. This practice, along with the chanting of your holy names, is the easiest way to become happy. This is what Lord Brahma taught, and those in his line all practice. I am confident that this alone will help me across the ocean of material illusion. My dear Lord, without your protection, we conditioned souls who identify with our material bodies can never become free of pain. Other solutions can at best give us temporary relief. Without your intervention, loving parents cannot protect their children, nor can a physician relieve his patients, nor can even a sturdy boat save a drowning man. Lord Nrsimhadev purred in pleasure. Have you learned this from your spiritual master? Yes, Lord. Tell me what else you have learned. So, how beautiful. In this verse, Nrsimhadev is asking Prahlad Maharaj that what he has learned from his spiritual master. His spiritual master is, my Lord, I know that everything in this material world is governed by the three modes of nature, which are your energies and therefore not different from you. Through these modes, you determine every aspect of our endeavors. Since, in one sense, there is no difference between the energy and the energetic source, ultimately everything that happens is indirectly you. That must mean I am also the repetition of birth and death. Yes, my Lord. Why then does anyone want liberation from birth and death? O eternal Lord, the material forms of this world are created when your incarnation of Mahavishnu expands as time and agitates your material energy composed of nature's three modes. By their combination, conditioned souls who want to enjoy separately from you are entrapped by the material mind and all the other ingredients of the material existence. They then become victimized by unlimited desires. You therefore give the Vedas, which directly direct us on how to fulfill these desires and ultimately get free of them. Without your guidance, no one can overcome the difficulties of material life. O supremely powerful Lord, matter is your energy, and thus, in one sense, it is you. However, it is not your eternal spiritual form. Without material touch, although you control matter, it does not affect you. Among these elements is time, which constantly crushes all conditioned souls, including me. The only way to escape its influence is to take refuge in you. I don't see anyone other than you who can deliver me from the miseries of material existence. I have seen the gods' wealth, power, and lifespan, but even they are vanquished when my father merely raised his eyebrows. However, you easily conquered my father. What would you like from me? Asked Nrsimhadev. Prahlad said, I have seen that you destroy even those who have all worldly opulence and mystic powers in your form as powerful time. Therefore, I am not attracted to any such thing. Instead, my Lord, I wish to be sincere servant of your pure devotee. How is it you ask for this when everyone else desires enjoyment and power? They are simply ignorant, said Prahlad. These things are like a mirage in the desert. They offer only a false hope of happiness. We might get something enjoyable only to be frustrated by disease, so we cannot enjoy it. Any discriminating person knows material happiness is ephemeral, but still they run after it because their senses are uncontrolled. Prahlad gazed at the Lord with tearful eyes. Who can calculate the causeless mercy you shower on the servants of your pure devotees? Just see how you have treated me. You never placed your hand on the heads of Brahma, Shiva, or even goddess of fortune. But although I'm born into a family of atheists, you have done that to me. Unlike we conditioned souls, you do not discriminate between people based on external criteria. You reciprocate with everyone according to their desire and to the degree of their service. The more one serves you, the more you fulfill their desires. You say, I have shown you my causeless mercy because I have served you. Yes, my Lord. What made you qualified to serve me? My Lord, I had no personal qualification. Because of my association with the worldly people, I fell into the snake pit of material desires. Fortunately for me, your pure devotee Narad Muni claimed me as his disciple and instructed me on how to serve you. Therefore, I desire to always remain in his service. O powerful Lord, I think you saved me from my father and killed him only to make true your devotee. Narad's promise. When my mother was under his protection, he blessed her that I would always be saved from the enemy's hands. For this reason alone, when my father in great anger, raised his sword to decapitate me, you appeared and killed him. Reminded of Hiranyakashipu, Nrsingadev roared in fury and slashed at the air with his claws. The gods fell back in alarm. Prahlad tried to calm him. My dear Lord, why are you angry with the low-born man? After all both he and everything in this material energy is you, Nrsingadev said. Since the evil Hiranyakashipu was my energy, do you think I too am evil? Oh no, said Prahlad quickly. The material world comprises your spiritual energy, the living entities, and the super soul. You, however, are independent of the material cosmos like you, since you existed before creation and will continue to exist after its destruction. The universe comes from you and everything in it is your energy. It also transforms because of your form and of time. You are everything that exists in the universe. However, you are inconceivably different from the cosmos. How is that, Prahlad? My lord, two of your primary energies required to develop the universe are ignorance and time. Ignorance makes all living entities identify with their bodies and falsely think in terms of this is mine and this is yours. And as time, you make everything continually transmute. Although you control both ignorance and time, they differ from you. How will anyone understand this, said Nrsingadev, since you are so great? The truths about you are inconceivable to us small living entities, said Prahlad. However, I have heard metaphors which help. Tell me what you have heard, Prahlad. Two came to mind. One is of a seed and a tree. Everything required for a tree exists in the seed, so in one sense we can say that the seed and the tree are not different from each other. However, the characteristics of the tree differ greatly from those of the seed, so in other sense we can say that they are different. Similarly, the material creation is nothing but you, but its characteristics differ from you. Nrsingadev smiled and nodded. Very good. What is your other example? Anyone who has studied Sankhya philosophy will know that fragrance manifests earth. So in one sense, earth is not different from fragrance. However, since they have unique characteristics, we consider them different. Nrsingadev stroked Prahlad's head. You are so young, yet you speak so well about me. Tell me, Prahlad, what else do you know about the creation pastime? Prahlad thought a moment about what he had heard while in his mother's womb. Then, placing the palms together, he spoke, My lord, when the entire cosmos is destroyed, it enters your form of Karanodakshai Vishnu. In that form, you lie in mystic sleep on the causal ocean, which is fully spiritual and has no contact with matter. Sleep is a state of ignorance. Do you think ignorance affects me? Your sleep is not like that of the conditioned souls, my lord. Rather, it is akin to the samadhi experience by preferred yogis who are absorbed in your spiritual pastimes and experiencing transcendental bliss. It looks like sleep because there is no external activity. Nrsingadev nodded. Excellent. What else do you know? The pores of Mahavishnu's body generate the material universes. Since it comes from you, the cosmos is also your body. You then enter it as the time factor and rouse the material energy to create the modes of nature. Mahavishnu also expands as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who lies on the bed of the Ananta Shesha within each universe, just as a tree grows from seed. The gigantic lotus flower of the material existence grows from Garbhodakshai Vishnu's navel. So we can see how nicely Prahlad Maharaj is telling God about his glories. When Lord Brahma is generated from the cosmic lotus, he cannot see its source. He can only see the lotus. He thinks its foundation is outside of himself, not realizing that you, the original cause, pervade him. Therefore, he dives into the water at the base of the universe and searches for the cause of existence for 100 years. However, he cannot find you. What you say is very good, but tell me what it means that I pervade Brahma. When a seed sprouts into a tree, the seed continues to exist invisibly in the sprout. Similarly, since Brahma sprouted from the seed of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Vishnu exists even within Brahma. Nrsimhadev glanced at the many celestials present, some of them whom looked confused. Turning back to Prahlad, he said, "Can you make it any clearer?" Prahlad thought a moment and then said, "When cotton transforms into thread, it is no longer visible, and when the thread is woven into cloth, it too is no longer visible, yet the cotton exists in the thread, and the thread exists in the cotton." Nrsimhadev applauded. First class examples. What makes it much clearer? Carry on, Prahlad. Prahlad concentrated his mind and said, "Lord Brahma, often addressed as self-born, as he was not born of a mother, sat on the whirl of the flower lotus and performed severe austerity, meditating for many hundreds of years. At the end of that period, he saw your presence spread throughout his body. He saw me in his half-lion, half-man form. Oh no, my lord, he saw you as the all-pervading Brahman. Is it possible to see that impersonal form of mine? I mean that he perceived your presence just as one perceives aroma in the earth." Can you explain how he perceived my impersonal form? He realized his existence is not different from you, that his body is made of your material energy, and that he, the soul, is part of you. He also realized that you differ from him. That's quite inconceivable. Brahma grasped that although you are everything, you are simultaneously different from everything. What happened next, Prahlad? He continued to meditate and eventually saw your Mahapurush form, which is the source of Brahman. This is Vishnu's spiritual form with thousands of faces, feet, heads, hands, thighs, noses, ears, and eyes. You are nicely dressed and adorned with various ornaments and weapons in this form, and your legs extend to the lower planets. On seeing this transcendental form, Brahma became blissful. Nrsimhadev smiled. Perfectly explained. This is the form I will one day show my devotee Arjun. My dear Lord, you constantly appear to protect your devotees. Everyone knows how you appear with the horse's head to kill the demons Madhukatab and return the Vedas to Brahma. That incarnation, known as Hayagriva, was also entirely spiritual, untinged by any material contamination. You incarnate in every millennium to protect religious principles, maintain the creation, and kill the demoniac. Sometimes you come in an animal form, sometimes as a great saint, a god, or an aquatic. You say I come in every millennium, but others say I do not appear in Kali Yuga. That's why I am known as Triyuga. You come in Kali Yuga too, but in that age you do not assert your supremacy as you do in the other 3 millennia. Rather, you hide your identity. Nrsimhadev patted Prahlad's head. That's true. The small boy glanced up with the tears in his eyes. "O Lord Vaikuntha, I'm most unfortunate, for I have no attraction to discuss your incarnations. My wicked mind is more attracted to material opulence and sensual enjoyment. Hankering and lamenting over material things, I am always miserable. How will a wretch like me ever become absorbed in hearing and chanting about you?" Nrsimhadev said, "Do not worry." He said, "Do not worry, Prahlad. Even those with wicked minds are purified by chanting glories, my glories." Prahlad hung his head. "I feel embarrassed to admit my predicament. Unfortunately, my senses constantly distract me, so have no time to glorify you, just as co-wives constantly vie with each other for their husband's attention, so it is my senses. For example, my tongue pulls me to eat some palatable dish, and my genitals become agitated for sex. My ears want to hear worldly songs. My eyes do see mundane things. In this way, each of my senses is constantly distracting me from glorifying you." Prahlad glanced up at Nrsimhadev. "I know other conditioned souls suffer even more than me. Falling into the Vaitarani river, they are subject to repeated birth and death. Sometimes they must eat awful things, and other times they are eaten themselves. It is a most fearful condition. Please, Lord, show them your mercy." "What do you want me to do?" Take them to the other side of this river of birth and death, to the spiritual realm where you reside. Nrsingadev objected, How can I deliver everyone? Prahlad smiled, It is not a problem for you, dear Lord. As you manage the affairs of the universe, indeed, as the original Guru, you have already planned for their deliverance. What do you mean, Prahlad? You have expanded into many spiritual masters to engage fallen souls in your loving service. This is how you deliver suffering humanity. I simply ask that you inspire all souls to serve you, your authorized representative. Prahlad, you are still young. You will have a long life if I do as you ask and take everyone to the other side of the Vaitarani. You will suffer loneliness. Have you considered this? Prahlad placed his hands together. O Lord, I am not afraid of staying alone in material existence, since I have absorbed my mind in thoughts of your glories and activities. You have confused me, Prahlad. Earlier you said that you were frightened of material existence and that your mind was absorbed in wicked thoughts. But now you say you are always thinking of me and you are not frightened of material existence. So which is it? I meant I'm afraid of materialistic association, my lord, not the material world itself. Worldly association is so alluring that it makes us forget you. Also, previously my mind was not absorbed in you, so I felt unhappy. However, by your grace, I am now wrapped in thoughts of you as I am happy. Oh, said Nrsingadev, that's good. So you are no longer unhappy. Well, said Prahlad, I am both happy and sad, to be truthful. Nrsingadev laughed with a sound like the gentle rumbling of thunder. You've confused me again, Prahlad said. I'm happy because now my mind is absorbed in you. I feel transcendental bliss. However, I'm unhappy for the fools and rascals in this world who busy themselves making elaborate plans for material happiness. I care for them and want them to be happy. Too, Nrsingadev smiled and hugged Prahlad to his chest. My dear devotee, there is no need for you to stay in this material world. I will instruct the sages to show you how to leave it. Prahlad reciprocated Nrsingadev's embrace. He could not speak as he was overwhelmed with the emotion. But after a few moments, he pulled away slightly. These sages you speak of leave the general populace and seek secluded places in the Himalayas or forests to sit in silent meditation. They care only for their deliverance and have no compassion for the ignorant persons suffering in the cities, towns, and villages. I do not want to be like them. I can live anywhere, and by remembering you, I'm happy. All I want now is to share you with everyone else so that they can be happy. That is a nice sentiment, Prahlad, but who will listen to you? Most people think they can be happy by enjoying sensual pleasures. Prahlad heaved a sigh. I know that will not make them happy. It is a scratching an itch. It is like scratching an itch. The discomfort may subside temporarily but will again flare up even worse. Well, said Nrsingadev, they will have to come to their own conclusions before they even consider liberation to a better alternative. That is not possible without your intervention, Lord, said Prahlad. Even though they are unhappy, it never occurs to them that sensual gratification is not the way to become happy. Some of them become disgusted, said Nrsingadev. They are the ones to whom you show your mercy. They become happy because you give them the wisdom to resist their lusty desires, Nrsingadev said. I know of some Brahmins who achieved liberation by following processes like observing silence. O Lord, you know everything, therefore what can I say? Prahlad fell silent for a few moments. Then he remembered what Narad told him and said, I have also heard that remaining silent can help me attain liberation. There are altogether 10 methods frequently practiced to attain liberation. Really, you know of other ways. Tell me what they are. Not speaking to anyone, not making any sound at all, observing vows, cultivating scriptural knowledge, practicing austerity, reading the Vedas, executing one's varnashram duties, living in a solitary place, and chanting japa. Yes, you're right, Prahlad. You see, there are so many ways to attain liberation. Unfortunately, they do not work well in practice, replied Prahlad. As people cannot control their senses, they struggle with these processes only because of false pride. They do even attempt them. Usually, they merely pretend to practice them to attract followers and donations. Unless bhakti is added, it's impossible to know you by these methods. Nrsingadev beamed with pleasure. Explain this more clearly. I'm sure everyone here will benefit. My lord, you manifest yourself in two ways in the material cosmos. The first is the seed of creation, Prakriti. The second is the effect, the subsequent transformations. Both cause and effect are your energies, and therefore you, but the only way to understand this inconceivable truth is to apply ourselves to the practice of bhakti seriously. How can this reveal the inconceivable? Asked Nrsingadev. Prahlad thought for a moment before replying, My lord, fire is always present in wood. The ordinary person cannot see this. However, if he vigorously rubs two pieces of wood together, the fire comes out and he will understand. Similarly, one who does bhakti yoga will see you when you reveal yourself. Can you see me in everything, Prahlad? Prahlad's face glowed and his eyes grew large in wonderment. Oh, yes, my lord. Tell everyone what you see. I see that you are the air, the earth, fire, the sky, the water, and you are also the objects of sense perception, the life airs, the five senses, the mind, consciousness, and false ego. Indeed, you are everything subtle and gross. What do you mean by subtle and gross? By gross, I mean everything manifested by the material elements, and by subtle, I mean thoughts and feelings. What else has this vision of me, Prahlad? My lord, not even the personified forms of the three modes of nature or the gross elements and mind, nor even the presiding deities of the universe can see what I see. What to speak of ordinary human beings? Not even the sages who pore over the scriptures can see it. One's intelligence and study do not achieve such a vision. One must render practical devotional service. How do we do that? We have to humbly approach those who can see you, hear from them, ask relevant questions to help us better understand their teachings and serve them. What else did Narad teach you, Prahlad? Prahlad thought for a moment before speaking. O Supreme Lord, best of all persons, you are glorified by choice prayers. Please accept my respectful obeisances. I have learned that only Paramhamsas understand the truths about bhakti, and may they experience its beneficial results. To become such a great soul, we must constantly render you 6 types of devotional service. Oh, this is very nice. What are these 6? We must always offer you prayers, dedicate the results of our activities to you, engage in deity worship, work for you, think of you, and of course, most importantly, hear your glories. Smiling broadly, Nrsingadev placed Prahlad on the ground. Immediately, Prahlad fell at the Lord's feet and offered his prostrated obeisance. Prahlad has offered his obeisance, we just read. Narad turned to Indra standing next to him and said quietly, Just see, out of great love for Prahlad, the Lord has given up his anger. Indra whispered, I'm confused that the Lord was very angry. I've never seen him like that. Anger is a symptom of the mode of ignorance, and I thought Krishna was transcendental to the material modes. Narad said, Everything about the Lord and his pure devotee is on the transcendental platform. Even their anger, listen, the Lord is about to speak. Nrsingadev said, My dear Prahlad, you're the best person who has ever taken birth in your dynasty. Since you are so gentle, I desire all good fortune for you. Everyone prays to me for something they want for their happiness, and I generally fulfill their desires. However, I am so pleased with you that not only you will grant not with you that not only will I grant anything you desire for yourself, but I will also fulfill any request you make on someone else's behalf. My dear Prahlad, you may live long. No one can see me unless I'm pleased to reveal myself to them. However, those like you who have seen me no longer have anything to be anxious about, even while in the material world. You are most fortunate, for like other highly elevated and wise souls, your only meditation is how to please me. Some such advanced devotees think of themselves as my servants, others as my friends, and others as my elders, and yet others have conjugal feelings for me. However, they are fully satisfied, for I fulfill all their desires. Yudhishthira and his brothers sat with their gazes fixed upon Narad, along with all the sages, gods, and celestials who had attended his Rajsuya sacrifice, and they were listening to Narad's account with rapt attention. Krishna too listened keenly. Yudhishthira said Prahlad was already going to inherit his father's kingdom. What further opulence could he have desired? Narad replied, the members of Prahlad's dynasty are famous for pursuing material happiness. He, however, is far superior to anyone in his family. Therefore, although the Lord promised to give him anything, he did not ask for any worldly benediction. Listen as I describe what happened next. So we'll continue in the next chapter, Prahlad's exalted devotion. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Granth Raj Bhagavatam ki Jai.